Yo, what's going on, guys? So, I have a special Joe Budden. Well, I wouldn't call this a Joe Budden exclusive. This is more of like a behind the scenes video that never really got talked about. So, this is Savon and this is Screenman. The one that's directly above me is Savon. The one that is next to the bottle of water on the left side of me, well, on the right side of me, that is going to be Screenman. So they talk about the Joe Budden podcast splitting, and we are going to watch the video. We're going to discuss it a little bit, and we're going to discuss this podcast I didn't know about. I didn't watch any episodes yet. If you guys want me to watch some episodes and talk about that a little bit, let me know in the future. But I did notice they stopped for a little bit, and they're back to making some episodes. So I want to talk about this a little bit because I have some extra stuff to add as somebody that has been watching for a long period of time. I'm sorry, Savon and Alex, if this in any kind of way exposes you guys or put you guys on the spot. So here we go. And for me, guys, please like, comment, subscribe on my videos and do it on their videos too, because he is sitting at 9.3 thousand right now. Let's get him up there. So thank you guys so much for your time, and let's get into it.
Give me some ganja. That's my number right there.
I'll be 1,000% honest. With this whole transition happening, if I didn't take a vacation, I would probably be
Also
overworked, overstressed. Like, I took pride in not responding to a single email. I didn't take a single business call. I didn't do anything that had to do with business on the need to know front or the Joe Budden Network front.
that's
so
rare.
This doesn't happen for me. So when I came back, I was ready. Like, I had a feeling something was gonna go awry when I came back.
And boy,
did it. So for anyone that is watching the Joe Budden podcast, you guys know about the breakup. Anyone that is even a new fan probably knows about the breakup. But if you don't know about the breakup, for the longest time, for many years, the entirety of the podcast up until this year, the guest hosts were Rory and Mal. Alex over here, this is Alex, and Savon. Savon is the co-producer, usually does the time cards and stuff like that. In YouTube, when you can click on something in the video and you see it's titled, each section is titled, those are chapters. He's the one that's supposed to do that. That's why Joe used to, I don't know, he doesn't do it as much as he used to, but he's always yelling at him. And producers, that's what they do. When it comes to producing podcasts, producing videos, etc., I do all of my stuff. I do my audio, I do my recording, I do the production on it, I do all of the overlays and stuff you see created from scratch, but that's part of what he does. Screenman, he's the one that pops things up on the screen for them to look at. Joe's always cracking on him, saying that he's going super slow. So we're gonna, also I did see before I'm not saying that they only crap on Joe, because they don't at all. They say you don't really see the stuff behind the scenes, and you don't see the way he talks to people behind the scenes. So it's different.
something around.
Like, I told my dad, I'm like, yo, Dad, I'm really thinking about contemplating on just getting a flight the day early. I'll pay whatever, because I have a feeling when I drop back Tuesday morning, something just doesn't feel right to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
You kinda
know
sensed
what
it
it
already.
was,
That sense.
Right.
but I knew the energy that we left off the last podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing the Patreon episodes drop with Joe, Ice, Ish, Parks, and whomever was there.
So when that did happen, what did you guys think? Because for me, as a person that purchased the Patreon, when I started seeing that Ice and Ish were the Patreon episodes, I was like, okay, they're going to do this for two reasons. I thought this automatically because of the problems that were going on previously. I was like, one, they're doing this because Rory and Mal, okay? I know you guys get mad when I say Mal. I'm just not thinking about it. I'm just thinking about the spelling of the name. But and if you watch my coverage on MMA stuff, you know that I say crazy names, so I apologize. But Rory and Mal, when they left, you could sense that Joe was trying to have a backup plan in case they don't come back, or in case this happens again. So that's one. Two, he was trying to get Ice and Ish more prepared to be on the actual podcast. He was like, okay, well, the people paying for this, they understand these guys are new. They're going to be a little easier on these guys. Not because we're paying for it, but if the content is still pretty good and we're understanding, the real fans of his are going to stick through the turmoil, which that's what happens all the time when there's change. So it's wild.
That kind of holding things afloat on the Patreon side, being promoted, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a part of what we have to do. So I felt that when I get back on Tuesday, I don't know what I'm walking into.
The word of the day today is cow! And I do not mean this.
I don't know who will or who won't be there. I know that I will be there because I have a job to do.
Yeah. Here so we don't get fined, right?
Yeah, I mean, no, not here. So that was Mal on the last episode. He was there, so he didn't get fined.
Right.
It felt like to me, we don't go to work with that mentality. I'm not here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we went to show up, especially after a vacation. Like, I felt good. We don't do vacation.
And also, if you guys know about how Savon got on the podcast, actually, I might just show you because I was doing a little bit of deep diving on some stuff. Give me 1 second. Look at this. Look at this. Savon, hire me as your intern for the podcast. And look at Joe's reaction. 2017. This is kind of raw. Give me a time and a place. I got the editing software for audio and video on my MacBook. Let me intern. Where are you based? New York City. I can take the train or drive wherever. Got my own transportation to get anywhere you need. Look, this kind of just proves like, hey, if you shoot your shot, 69 likes, that's beautiful. But if you shoot your shot in this industry, in certain industries, in anywhere in life, you may get your opportunity. But you got to keep shooting. You got to keep shooting. So let's get back to this
Vacation. So I guess we'll start there.
Okay.
I guess we'll get exactly to what I'm sure everybody wants to talk about. There's a lot to unpack.
What y'all want to know?
I got questions too. But go ahead.
Oh,
Get
for
your shit
sure.
out first.
I will say,
I got a question.
kind of what you were saying, you kind of prepped that this was kind of happening. I didn't think the guys were showing up either. And that was without like Joe telling us or
What's funny is Alex, he's kind of saying that, but Savon didn't say that. Savon said he didn't know who was going to be there, who wasn't going to be there. So I think Alex just had a Freudian slip. And what that is, a Freudian slip is when you say something that you do not mean to say because you think the other person said something that they didn't say, or you're perceiving something that really shouldn't be perceived, and you're being a little bit too open. You're saying something that isn't appropriate because you're giving too much information. So a Freudian slip is literally what he just did. So Savon says, I don't know who's going to be there, who's not going to be there. Alex straight up says, yeah, I didn't think they were going to be there either. So that means behind the scenes conversation, they probably spoke about this. And that's probably the conclusion that he has.
me find out in real time. I just being in that room, that off that last episode.
You felt it?
I just felt it, and just knowing that we had a week off, where people could really kind of get their thoughts in order, think about some things.
Okay.
Business in order. Not
yeah.
just your thoughts, but business.
Okay.
Because a lot of this stemmed from business.
Sorry about that.
With our work.
Mishaps, misunderstandings, I should say. Not mishaps, just misunderstanding amongst the business side of the podcast, right? So you would think that an additional week, because we've been dealing with this for what, about 6, 7, maybe 8 weeks?
Sorry, moving some
been
stuff.
a while since, we've seen the guys together. Up until last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever, right? So you would think that 6, 7, 8 weeks, whatever amount of time, is enough for everybody to get on the same page. How do y'all feel? Yes, no, any objections to that?
I mean, you would think.
You would think. That's all I ask.
Yeah, you would definitely think. It's just sometimes it's not even a time period that needs to go by, but real communication. So I can't necessarily agree to that because, like I said, even though I know time had went by when they came back for that episode, being in that room, sensing what I felt.
What'd you feel? As Screenman on the Joe Budden podcast.
Screenman pulling up topics. It felt like Rory was trying to get that flow of show back, doing his little jokes here and there. It felt like Mal was a little detached, more than a little detached, honestly. And
See, they're being nice. I do think the whole thing about Rory that they're saying is accurate. When they're saying that Rory was trying, especially in the last episode he was there, Rory was really trying to get the flow back, trying to get things in a happier place. The last 2-3 episodes Rory was on, he was trying to do that. Mal didn't give a fuck. He did not care. He didn't care about Joe at that point. He was taking small shots at Joe. The comments felt the tension still. Joe didn't care. Joe was still trying to push through it, but I think Joe deep down knew that he was going to end them. He knew he was going to end that real quick, especially once it got to that kind of tension. He knew he was going to end that because the episode that he was talking about them just flaming on them that he took off of YouTube and put exclusively on Patreon. Yeah, like that episode, he was going a little hard. And he was going a little hard for, I'm trying to patch things up. I understand Joe's a little wild, but I don't think he was trying to patch things up. He may be wild, but I don't think he's an idiot. So, I think Alex is being more transparent than Savon, but I think that is because, to me, from what I see from Screenman, he's straight up. He doesn't care. He's gonna tell you how it is. He's not gonna ruin his job or nothing like that, but he's not gonna lie to you in any kind of way. He's gonna try to tell you the honest truth. He's not trying to fight with you or have problems, but he's gonna tell you how it is. Savon, I feel like when I watch Savon and I hear him speak, I feel like he's a little more calculated. So he's like, okay, what could the repercussions potentially be for what I'm saying? And maybe I shouldn't say this. So
felt like Joe was just really trying to carry the show and finish it. And honestly, that's not how shit really go over there. They vibe, they flow. Certain topics put them in certain moods, which creates great conversation. Yeah, it was none of that.
You didn't think it was like truly solved like people thought it was just
Exactly.
because that episode happened.
If you listen to that podcast and you thought that it was truly solved, seek help.
yeah.
You don't know what life is. You don't know what personal people interactions are. You're not.
I didn't think that situation was going to get any better. When I saw them take that week off, they came back and that it was just really episodes to discuss what happened a little more open than they did previously. Stuff wasn't going to get back. It was a bad vibe. There was a lot of anger, a lot of frustration between them. It's just what it is. I don't necessarily agree with how Joe did it at all. I don't think Joe did it in the right way at all. I don't think Mal handled it appropriately. I think the best actor in the situation, even though he messed up and did the stuff with academics, because that stuff, can't defend that. The way academics handled him, I don't know. You can't really say much about that. Like, Ak is a demon, yeah, but Rory kind of deserved something. Like, you can't go as hard as Rory did and go to his house, pull up and do stuff like that. You can't do that. That's not appropriate. It doesn't matter where Rory came from. Hanging around Joe, hanging around the people he supposedly hangs around with and all that. Can't do that. It's too much of a threat. You can't play with someone's life like that, especially when you become an adult. Don't be playing those games. And then Joe is greedier than he wants to lead on. Joe keeps talking about letting each of the people on his podcast get their own podcast, get their own this, get their own that. But anyone that's been watching the Joe Budden podcast for a while, I don't know if you guys recall this. I could not find a clip. I looked for it for a while, but I'm certain Joe said, he's like, you let your guys get on other shit? To Charlemagne, I believe. And Charlemagne was like, yeah. He's like, I don't control their lives. Like, I don't care what they do. And Joe was like, oh, they're competing with you. Why would you let them do that? If you guys can find that clip, please post it below. Because that clip kind of says a lot about this situation specifically, because that's before any of these problems were public. So when he's saying these kinds, I don't know if he said directly to Charlemagne or not, but I do know he was talking to somebody, and he was talking about their podcast co-host, saying this. You can't do that. He is trying to control their lives. I think that's why he created the Joe Budden Network. Because if you think about it, when he has Joe Budden Network, okay, well, they're going to work exclusively for him, and he's going to be the label now. He always talks about the label and how much money the label gets and all that kind of stuff. He's trying to be the label. Like, he's trying to maximize his earnings. I respect that. But when he's saying all this anti-label stuff, he is trying to be the label. And I don't think Savon and Screenman can be too transparent because of that, too. Because with what I just said and what I laid out, it wouldn't make sense for them to come on here and actually be transparent and talk about everything, regardless of what Joe wants or not. Joe has insinuated multiple times in the podcast that people in group chats on his podcast may be talking about him, people that work for him. Okay, Joe, if this is happening, why don't you address it the appropriate way and say, okay, I've heard this is happening. I don't want you guys to be unhappy. Not publicly. privately. I'm not saying he hasn't done this, but with the energy that he expresses, it seems like they're still intimidated to talk openly. So if you're intimidated to talk openly, something's going on. So I think they're trying to be smart. I don't think they're being fully transparent. If you look at the views on the podcast, this one has the most from the ones that I've seen. This is about 50,000. Ones that posted recently have less than 2,000. I'm not taking any shots, not saying anything negative about that at all, because this isn't an easy game. To be able to post, be able to get the views and all that kind of stuff, I understand it's not easy. And with the situation he's in, he's probably getting paid pretty well from the podcast. I'm not saying he's getting paid amazing. He's getting paid pretty well though, probably. And he's learning a whole bunch. He's getting a whole bunch of game and experience. That's the truth. Would I sign up for a situation if I'm not making any money or they were trying to control what I can do outside? No. I just won't. I've not been in a position where I've been offered an opportunity that would allow me to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm not interested in doing that. I don't want any kind of restrictions on what I can or can't say. That's how I feel right now. Could this change? Maybe. I don't know what it's going to be like in the future. I don't know if I'll ever get an opportunity to make money off of a sponsorship or anything like that. But I do not believe I'll ever get offered an opportunity that's going to make me want to become exclusive. When it comes to the creation of music or podcasts or all that kind of stuff, I'm just not interested in that. It's more interesting for me to be an independent artist and an independent creator, because if you're an independent artist or creator, you have all of the earning potential. Yeah, you put some money into this or you put some money into that, but you don't have to do recurring costs for these things. Pay for these things once. It's not like you're going to a studio paying hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars every time you go. I have studio level equipment that I just bought once. Paid good money for. I've put a lot of money into the stuff that I have. But at the same time, it's because I'm making an investment for my future. This microphone, I needed to buy a preamp that increases the volume on it, and I needed to buy what's it called? Audio interface. Sorry, an audio interface to plug this in, because this is connected. You see that? That is an XLR cable. So if you guys want to learn more about that stuff, I'm going to be posting a video, hopefully this week, maybe next week, about all the gear I have, what you need to get started online, that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's get back into this and let's finish this video out.
Familiar with tension. So put yourself in a more uncomfortable situations if you're not familiar with tension, because you could listen and hear the tension in there. I got a question for y'all. I got a question for the people that are listening.
Okay. Moving on.
You've ever had a job ever in life? Have you?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Reggie, we've
Yes,
all
sir.
worked.
Yes,
We've all
sir.
worked.
Yes.
I actually, honestly, I believe that, and this is not a factual. It's not a statistical fact.
This is not a factual.
But in my experience, as somebody who consumes podcasts, my interest peaked when I was working. I was working at a warehouse and I needed something to pass my time on my commute to and from. I needed something to pass my time. I was looking for just an escape. It's like white noise sometimes, or you can be really invested. But the podcast experience is evolved around working. Correct?
I think there's plenty of reasons for this. The idea for creating a podcast, it's long forms of speech. Long forms of speech that they're telling you about something. You're learning about something. Even if they're just doing banter back and forth, they usually have to, if they're a good podcast, if they're a top podcast, they always talk about relevant topics. They always teach you about something, talk about things that they're learning, things that they're doing, that's teaching you. So that opportunity to learn and to take in information is valuable. It's very valuable. That opportunity means everything. So when you're working, which most people work regular jobs, 9 to 5, 8 to 4, whatever it is, most people are working a normal job. Most people are employed by an employer. So if you have that time and you're not, let's say you're working overnight and you're stocking at Walmart, because a lot of people do that job, or Amazon, you're doing warehouse work. A lot of people do warehouse work. If you're doing these things, what are you going to do with that time? You're just going to listen to nothing. If you have the choice to have something in your ears, you're just going to listen to the same X amount of music over and over again. An artist only has so many songs. If you work a 40-hour work week, which is a typical full-hour work week, and you're listening to, let's say you're listening to Kanye West, because he has a lot of music. It won't take you very long to get through everything if you listen to it for the full 40 hours every shift. So you're just going to listen to the same thing every week over and over again. Every single week you're listening to the same material. You're going to get nothing out of it. Or are you going to put something in your ears, maybe listen to the Joe Budden podcast, maybe listen to a finance podcast, learn about making money, crypto podcast, learn about making money. Maybe you're going to listen to Andrew Schultz and Charlemagne the Brilliant Idiots. Maybe you're just going to listen to Andrew Schultz and Flagrant 2, something like that. There's a ton of podcasts. MMA podcasts, which I love. I listen to a ton of them. Morning Combat is one of the biggest ones I watch. Go follow them. But podcasts, they help you escape. There's the long form videos, they help you escape. When you hear something, they let you think, they let you sit and ponder whatever that it is that they're talking about. I think that is one of the most important aspects of content creation, is you have to have the understanding that this is an escape for the people watching just as much as it's a way for you to potentially make a living, or just because you enjoy it. I feel like a lot of people think I make money because I'm making a ton of videos. I haven't monetized this yet. I have like the Amazon affiliate links people could click on. I have a couple little things here and there that I'm trying to build out. But really, this is something I want to do long term. I want to create content long term. I want to create a podcast, all that kind of stuff. Because I had a podcast before that didn't have a ton of followers, not as many as my channel has right now. But it's something that I've always wanted to do. I've always tinkered with the idea throughout the weeks while I'm here. Even if the videos aren't posting, I'm messing with my audio, I'm messing with the camera positioning, I'm messing with a ton of different things, the overlays, stuff that comes up on the bottom of the screens here, all that kind of stuff. It takes time, and I'm not getting paid for it at all yet, but I'm doing it because I'm interested in it. If you're just doing these kinds of things for the money, you're not going to get anywhere. So what he's saying is absolutely the truth, but I do not think that they are being very transparent in this. I think there's maybe like a minute left on this video, so I'm gonna play the rest of the clip and we'll see if he says anything else here that we can speak about.
In my experience, whether I'm going to work, whether I'm at work, right?
I would definitely agree.
100%. It's a commute. It's just like music.
Yeah.
It's a commuter. It's commuter consumed.
Exactly.
100%.
Definitely.
Throw it in the car, throw it in your headphones, on the train.
It's
Exactly.
perfect.
There's a lot of
for the commute.
people in the comments being like, "Oh, I'm listening to this on my way to work." That's
Yes.
definitely a thing.
Yes.
For sure. And it's great. It's amazing, right? Podcasts, they're exciting.
When I was working corporate jobs, especially like when I was working for BMW or for US Bank or for these kinds of companies, yeah, the podcasts were a way for me to escape. When I was working at let me think. I did credit card fraud for US Bank for a little bit. When I was doing that work, all I would do is listen to The Breakfast Club, listen to some Joe Budden podcasts and MMA podcasts. That's all I listened to religiously. I was like dying for more content because the work days drag out. They suck. The people around you, they're not always the greatest. Sometimes they make salacious comments that they really shouldn't be making. Salacious. I should probably make that a button. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think below. Where do you guys listen to podcasts? You guys listen to learn? You guys listen to gain the experience of essentially being in that environment with that person that you're watching? Because that's a big thing too. So
Selling. Shout out to everybody in this industry, in this space. Right. So now I ask you guys that have all had jobs at some point. And let me not just say jobs. You also have just a duty to your peers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like your coworker. A lot of people in retail, if you have a history in retail or any kind of service, is like, if you don't show up, somebody got to cover.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it
That's
goes.
pretty standard, right?
The shift is still there.
The shifts are still there.
The shift is still
Customers are still there.
Yeah.
People still want their McDonald's fries.
there. Mhm.
People still want that size 13 sneaker in the back that just came out. Like, people still have needs and wants. And as a consumer, there's a level of consistency that is expected. Now tell me when I'm like off. Okay, cool. however many weeks, and I'll do 6.
What's going
to
on,
keep
guys?
it
So
short,
today we're
because
gonna-
I don't want to put any more sauce on it. I'm not sure if it was 6 weeks, but it felt like 6 weeks. It felt longer than 6 weeks.
Just about.
But let's just use the number 6.
Just about. Yeah.
6 weeks go by, and issues aren't resolved. Right? They say it's business stuff. They say it's friend stuff. Actually, they said it wasn't business or money related.
But it was respect, right?
It was more so just respect and, hey, I want to know, transparency and respect. Those were the 2 words that were thrown around very loosely. And the word friend. All of these words and shit was thrown around very loosely, and I'm just sitting back doing my goddamn job. 6 weeks go by.
Do your little time stamps.
If Alex, question, brother. We do this podcast weekly.
Yeah.
If I didn't show up for 6 weeks, what does that say to you as my friend, as my business partner, as somebody we rely on each other? What does that say to you?
One, I'm gonna fire you. I don't care. I don't care if we're friends. I don't care what we are. If you're not showing up for 6 weeks, just based off of the strength of what he's saying, if you just didn't show up for 6 weeks, I'm firing you. You ain't coming back. And if you think that I have to tell you that I'm going to replace you and tell you who and see if you're okay with it and give you this, that's never going to happen. So from that perspective, I'm not, but I don't think that that's necessarily the full truth. If that is the full truth and that's all that we know and there's nothing else that could be added to this, then yeah, I would just fire their ass. I would fire them and have no issues with it after. But I don't think that's the case.
It tells me that we're not on the same page, first and foremost. Because if we're on the same page, we understand that this has to continue.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not in the line of work as to where we can kind of just chill for a few weeks and kind of handle things. It also would kind of make me judge how much you cared about it, which is fine.
And to his point about like not caring, I'm telling you guys, you have no idea how fast and how savage the YouTube algorithm will drop you. It's kind of funny. I think it's kind of funny. I made one video that got a pretty negative reaction. It wasn't Joe Budden related, wasn't Joe Budden content related, but it was a sparking video about this racial interaction that happened, and I'm not going to say who, but there was a specific group of people that got very angry with me, and they dislike bombed the video, and they start going on other videos of mine and disliking and commenting. I don't really care. That stuff doesn't bother me. It's the internet. I don't care. I'm not fazed by anything that happens on here. So that kind of stuff doesn't really bother me. I actually thought it was funny. But I do think that it changed my algorithm a little bit because I'm still getting comments on that video. But yeah, guys. What he's saying is true. You fall off on the YouTube algorithm super fast. So in this game, you need to make content. And you need to make content that is going to reach people quickly. If you fall off for too long, your videos aren't going to get viewed. You're going to fall off the algorithm. I like making content, but it's not as easy of a game as people think it is.
If you could just dip for about 6, I don't know if my care is as the same as your care, which is fine. We're all different human beings.
Yeah.
But on this platform, it is something we have to do together.
Reggie, Dev, I pose a question to you. Y'all are new podcasters, and thank y'all for doing that because y'all are here with us.
I've been enjoying it.
But I know y'all also consume podcasts.
Yep.
If your favorite podcast or a podcast that you relied on to get you through work research, all the things that get you in your mode, in your mood, if your favorite podcast just wasn't around for 6-7 weeks, how does that make you feel as a consumer?
I'm upset about my content not being delivered to me. It's kind of like...
Okay, so I think I'm going to finish it here. There's really not that much more that they talk about. I don't like when my podcast goes away. When this podcast went away, personally, I was pissed. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, I just started really listening to this all the time, like absolutely all the time. And then it goes away. Even when they were fighting, I didn't mind it too much. I don't care. When people are sitting in the comments complaining about stuff like that, doesn't really faze me all that much. If I like the content and they have some turmoil, okay, well, people have turmoil, so I understand that. If they can come back from it. If they don't come back from it, that's a different thing. So, yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think about this down below. I'm definitely interested to see what you guys say. Yeah, and Let me know if you guys want me to cover more of these behind the scenes kinds of things. We're doing a giveaway of 500 subscribers. Please like, comment, subscribe to be involved, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.